and the grease on the inner sheaths of those verticals. You notice that it's still got the same pattern as when you put it in and when you put it on. It's not making any contact with anything. You don't need to grease these. In fact, a nice clean waxed, not waxed, but you know, nice clean for that would be better, okay? Because the grease, what does grease do? When all your road dirt gets in there, eventually it will cause a cutting problem in there if you're getting pebbles and junk. Suddenly you're having contact because of the grease where there was none before. So we really don't want that. And then this is just so much right here that all of this is bleed off of this grease that's going into here and coming out of here where it peeled it off. Here. The problem with that right there is it's not doing any good.
A little good's a lot better. I think that was a theory.
Yeah, y'all. You know, if anyone calls you guys Yankees for doing, they're wrong. You're redneck because you're like us. Duct tape and grease and WD-40. You know, for real. And this is just way over greased. And really, if you were to check with KME, they would tell you don't
They
need
told us last time we don't need to grease those.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't even think it's on the sheet.
Right.
It sounds to me like we need to clean them up, and when they get dirty again, we need to clean them up until we get that grease.
Yeah. I would degrease it and
That needs a putty knife.
yeah,
Pressure washer.
I don't think you're going to find yourself. LTI has these are H-Styles stabilizers, and you'll pick up and you draw in, and sometimes they vibrate. And I had one guy who's got an older LTI 94, 95, and it was doing that. And he talked to LTI, and LTI doesn't want grease at all on there. And I say LTI because I don't know where KME is on this, but the logic of it is metal to metal contact is where you would want some grease. But what that did is gave it right all back to you. Okay. Now you've got a couple of problems up here on both ends of this ladder from the turntable here. These two cylinders here, the seals are blowing back a little bit. And the matching cylinders, those are leveling linkage cylinders. They're pushing, they're connected to the ladder, so as the ladder's position changed, the volume is pushed through to the other end, and hydraulic lines that go out to another pair out there that are smaller, but they keep you level no matter where you're at. Well, these are blown out at the seals, and so is the other end, okay? The one thing that I really like to emphasize to firefighters is don't wait for me to show you this stuff. If you see a seal leaking off, stop and look at your cylinders. Look in here and see. You can't see the pistons on here, but when you're doing your checks, look at these fittings and see, hey, is there anything leaking there? Because if it is, and you don't catch it, you're going to find it, you know, Murphy's Law, you're going to get on the fire scene where you can't get this thing back in, you know. Those kind of things you really, and these are access to, all four of them have ports that you can see. Those are one of the things that I look for. But those are there, and they're bad. They're going to cost you about $5 grand to get fixed because it's a fire truck. It's like working on a Lamborghini, you know. A tune-up on a Chevy's $49. A tune-up on a Lamborghini's $4,900. Same concept. But to the opposite, there's a little. I don't want to be nitpicking, saying you're a little heavy. This needs the grease. Okay, this is making contact with wear pads in each position here, and it's metal to plastic. Okay, and so you're good there. It's a little heavy, but in this case, what did you say a while ago? How much is okay on this one? You know,
A little's good, lots better.
yeah. On this case, it is. All right. Come here, Chief. Follow your cables in and tell me what's wrong.
Follow the cables
Follow
in.
the cable with your eyes. Follow that cable to its end, and this cable to the end, and tell me what's different.
That one doesn't look straight.
That one's been
That one's
bent up.
tilted up.
That
This
one's
one's
tilted up.
It almost looks like it's angle cut.
I don't
This
know.
is
That
cut
looks-
an angle.
And this one is this angle higher.
Yeah.
Wonder why they did that.
That's all welded like that. I don't know that it got bad.
Yeah, it's running out of the hole straight. This one's
That's interesting. But see what it's doing here is you're good here, but you gotta keep coming up to that.
So what do we need to do for that?
You need to ask your KME guy about it. You need to ask him. Because the effect is this right here. It's creating more tension on the top of that cable. Where the tension on this cable is evenly distributed. This one's catching more up there.
You get the pictures of that, Mark? Video.
You guys are doing good with
Those are
this.
electrical cables.
What I do with this is I take a red shop cloth about once a month, and I run transmission fluid or brake fluid and just wash it off so it's nice and smooth and shiny. And that's
We do every 10 hours.
yeah,
Or-
you are doing this good, but your seals, those grease fittings on that joint there are designed to push these vinyl bearings so that your water doesn't leak. That one's over greased. It's coming out. You've got 4 tablespoons on this side. This one is good. So that one's close. And you'll get bleed off one like that from that with your grease bleed. There's a lot of grease bleed on this one. If you look at these cylinders here, I've already wiped it, but these are leaking and blowing back into here. So they're going to need to be repacked in the next 6 months to a year.
Yeah, see where they're leaking out at.
The problem is it's doing it at both ends of the circuit, so the circuit's kind of compromised. Eventually this will let go. Eventually they'll stop working. And you'll go, phoom. So, a couple of the things that I look for and that you guys need to look for when you're doing your checks is, are these connectors still good? You know that you could have a perfect truck, and if this were cracked, you take it out of service because it deals with egress and personnel safety is number one when it comes to this stuff. And if the door's broke, you could fall out. And the way OSHA, NIOSH, ISO, and NFPA look at that is that will fail a truck where leaking cylinders won't. So those are a couple of things we look for. But I think that's about it. I covered everything that we were talking about.
So the grease on the ladder's okay. The grease
Yeah.
on the
Yeah, the grease on the outriggers is no good, and don't over grease these seals on these joints because that grease is not there to lubricate this. It's there to keep the bearings in position so that your joints don't leak. Okay.
What about the, if we pressure wash it before you come back next year, what all do you want washed down?
The turntable and this end and your outriggers, and that way
Nothing on the ladder, nothing.
because technically if you don't have any grease on the ladder, I write you for not having grease on the ladder. I don't want to overextend that, but especially where even to the point
No,
of
I
the
guess what I was
interiors-
asking is, do we want to pressure wash it and then re-grease it before you?
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah.
Would that be cleaner for you to
Yeah.
be able to see everything?
Yeah, it would. Inside those wells, inside those outrigger wells as well. Clean them real good.
And my only concern with pressure washing in there, though, we have trouble with those sensors.
All the electrical shit.
Yeah, don't be
Those micro switches that give us fits all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll clean it as well as we can.
Yeah,
but we may
without doing harm.
Yeah.
That would be good. So
But I'd say probably next April, we ought to pressure wash everything on here
yeah,
before you come, and then re-grease it.
If you're gonna do that, I'd have Kevin bring steam cleaner in.
yeah.
Is there anything we can damage by pressure washing?
Yes, you're. You don't want to hit any of the grease fittings with it. Believe it or not, you don't want to hit grease fittings with it. Of course, you don't want to hit the micro sensors.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to hit any. I didn't notice on this one. There, some trucks have lights in there and stuff like that. You don't want to hit those.
Or
So-
the seals on this
Right,
waterway?
seals on. I'm beginning to believe we will. I almost want to run water. I think that seal's blown, but there's only one way to prove it.
That's to
Get a
some
hydrant.
water. Okay.
Get a hose and a hydrant and see what's going on with it and pressurize it. But that's
When
more
do you want to
money.
do that?
We could do it if you want. It's like $50 more for waterway systems pressure test.
It's out here now.
Yeah.
I mean, let's get it in.
Hey, what's the rated load capacity of this aerial device?
Depends if it's wet or not.
500.
800.
Talking about 500.
The basket.
It says up there, but it's
500.
500.
Just for the basket.
500 flowing, 1,000.
750 dry. And then half of that.
Wet.
Wet, because really on a 95 footer, when you're full of water, believe it or not, you're holding a load of probably 500 pounds.
So you got 375 pounds in the basket, and if the waterway's charged and flowing, or just charged?
Charged.
Just the way.
Because when it fills, you got to factor in the weight of the water.
Because whatever's in the tank's filling this waterway.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
I think almost
All the way to the top?
So,
Yes, sir.
How do
so
they do
what is it if
Whatever's
it's
in the
flowing?
tank, it takes that tank to fill this.
According to your placard,
Yeah.
750 pound platform load. Period.
Okay.
Period.
Huh.
Now with aerial ladders, it splits. But
Holy cow, look at that thing go there.
Yeah. That put the load on it.
We better get one that has a little more of a load limit on it.
At the platform, it's 1,000.
across the board on the
What was that you said again?
platform, it's always 1,000, but then it diminishes.
We
along
need to
the
get one with a
section.
bigger load limit on it.
Why is that?
So they can hold more weight, duh.
If you're at 60 to 80 degrees.
Well, if we gotta do rescue, it's a big person. Got two guys in the bucket, and you gotta pick up
You can't get it clothes on
500-pound truck driver.
Okay.
So what are you saying about truck
though.
drivers?
Clothes on,
So-
you can't bunker gear
A
on.
500-pound truck driver? He's big.
I know why they weigh 500 though, man. When I get on these long drives,
What, freshman? He's pretty.
you eat bad. So
You know you can double that, be just fine. So let's put that on there as a safety. Well, yeah, we have.
So you got 4 guys who weigh roughly 200 pounds apiece with 85 pounds worth of turnouts and tanks, and you're up to you got 3 of you. So you're roughly around. They consider one firefighter like you would be the average firefighter. In turnouts and tanks, you're 250 pounds.